So good afternoon to everyone who has joined us for our monthly PropFundrs community webinar. And absolutely delighted you've taken time to take part in this. I'm trying a slightly different system today with a bit of a headset. I tend to be a bit animated when I'm presenting. So if I do raise my voice too loud, Brenda, you can give me a wave and tell me to lower the decibels in case it blasts everyone through. But really delighted with everyone who's joined us. Webinar today will be about 35 minutes. It's really by way of hopefully an exciting update for our Prop Funders community. But first of all, let me welcome and introduce a very special guest, Brenda from the Prop Funders team. Hello, Brenda.
Hello, David. This is probably the first time you've ever called me very special, but let's we'll say no
Yeah.
more on that.
Well, it's taken a few months to convince you to come on to our webinar. So no doubt people will be delighted to see you. They obviously read your blogs, they read your newsletter. Some interact with you, obviously the clients. But yeah, thank you for taking the time to join today. So I'm actually in Dublin today on business meetings, and I've taken some time out to do this. And you're just back in the home office, Brenda, in near
Yeah.
Belfast.
Yeah. Not so very sunny today, but sure, we can't have it all our own way all the time.
No, definitely not, definitely not. Well, look, without any further ado, let's get straight into it. Normal housekeeping rules. This is being recorded live, so um, we really encourage people to leave a comment in the Q&A. If you have a question to ask or comment to make, please do that. We always like interaction. We'll not mention first names or anything, so because it is live and you may not want to be recorded in that way, but certainly we can ask the question or try and get it answered for you. So please do that. So not the chat box, do it in the Q&A, and we'll be able to go from there. So without any further ado, let's get into where we are. Oops, daisy, going too far. Cool. So Brenda, this really is the background of prop funders. Both of us have been involved in property for quite a while. Do you want to just briefly sort of explain your journey in property and what you've done in your background?
Okay, my least favorite question. I didn't realize it was going to be an interview, but if anybody out there would like to hire me, you'll hear all about me now. Sorry. Um, I started out in housing management. I worked for a housing association, social housing. So there, I was just quite involved in both the financial side, the IT side, and the housing management side. I actually worked for two departments within that organization, so I had quite a broad spectrum of roles that I undertook in that environment. And then from there, we moved from working for other people to working for ourselves. We started to manage buy-to-let portfolios for other individuals. I think at one time we maybe had upwards of two or 300, possibly, David, from memory, buy-to-lets on the books, tenants that we were managing. So that was quite an experience. Property letting is probably not for the faint-hearted. There's a lot of issues, tenant issues, and when you're on that side of it, you learn on from the cold face that it is quite intense. So we've done that probably now for the last 25 years, possibly, and then we moved into crowdfunding, into property crowdfunding. My speciality then moved more towards the compliance and regulation side. Plus, I also use my IT skills from previously, and I've been working in the background setting up the websites and the support systems and everything else. So that's it in a nutshell, I
Yeah.
believe.
It's fair to say that, for both of us, really since about, well, you before that in your day job, and then from 2000 when we started to build our own portfolio, and the journey from there, with I've been involved in with your support, with probably 25 odd years now, in property. So quite a very varied background. And
Mhm.
one thing I think, Brenda, is fair to say we recognized when we looked at prop funders, a year and a half ago, and deciding sort of what direction do we go when we after we had a regulated FCA platform, was this realization that there were a lot of SME developers.
Yeah.
Some of them were landlords that we would managed property for in the past, but I think it's fair to say that when you look at the 1988 developers responsible for building sort of homes in England and Wales, the percentage of that, in around almost 40%, and now 2025, that's around 10%. That's a
Mhm.
big change
It is a
in the
change.
percentage from the SMA, and that's
So,
really who we
yeah.
target.
Yeah, well, it could be a case too that some of those smaller developers have progressed on to become larger developers. So they've moved out of that category into the bigger category. Some obviously haven't progressed. Rules, regulations, laws that are brought in. There does seem to be an awful lot of focus on landlords, and a lot of landlords have exited the market because they just don't see the value there anymore. There's too many rules from the government. The government is looking to constantly take from their pot, if that makes sense. So they feel almost penalized constantly. So I think there's a lot of people that have decided, no, this is not for me. It's too much hassle. Then that's probably where the investing side comes in, where people then can be passive investors. They know about property development, they've been involved in it themselves, they've been landlords, but they now don't want that hassle. So they decide then, well, no, actually, I'm going to move into being an investor, a passive investor. I understand what people are doing, but I'd rather put my money with someone else and let them have the hassle. So there's probably that 40% has probably just marginalized out into other areas. So you're left then with that hardcore 10%. But with the government wanting to build more houses and having targets set for 2025, 2026 by 2030, this group needs to be able to be protected and supported. And I think that's what we're trying to do in PropFundrs.
Yep, I think you've hit the nail on the head. And within that, there are different experienced developers, there are young social media developers, I call them, and then people
Mhm.
who've been involved as professionals in property who are now becoming developers, etc. So it's quite a wide niche, but I think you make a really good point. It's the section that the government needs to be, if you like, looking after and helping. So
Mhm.
we've obviously been on this journey with prop funders, and today we're able to have some breaking news. Those who have joined us live today will get the news first. The rest can watch the recordings. But in terms of announcements, um, we've revamped and if you like, updated our mission statement. Do you want to just speak to that in terms of the key bits in green?
Well, yes. Obviously, our modus operandi is still saving property developers time and money. That's been the whole thought process behind prop funders. But we've looked at it over the last year and a half, and we've said, what can we do differently? What were the pain points? And the main point is maybe just simplifying the whole process, putting better structures in place, and then that allows property developers to source their funds easier, if that's the correct terminology. So it is about simplifying the journey, making it easier for them, mentoring people through it, educating them, giving free resources, and then building that structure that then they can go on and do deal one, deal two, deal three, and so on, and be able to then source the funds and the properties and everything else. So that's what the main changes that we've made to the site.
Yeah. And obviously the journey we've been on, even with prop funders and being able to support developers and help them in the various needs, the pain points they had. Obviously, it's taken us all over the country, working with some fantastic developers, and it's always exciting to get out in the ground. But in terms of the new announcements, what is the main announcement for today? I'll let you make it.
Well, it is literally that our new website is up and running. It's been revamped, restructured, journey made simpler. Um, we've taken it apart basically and rebuilt it. Some of the parts are still there. The saving property developers time and money, that main mission statement, that main focus is still there, but we've built in other things for the developers, for investors too, for people who want to learn more about property. So we have other bits and pieces in there that will be useful for all property professionals and anybody who's interested in property.
Mhm. And some of the, I think, a couple of slides coming now, which will give a bit more of some of the parts of it. And I think this is obviously new in terms of highlighting a number of the projects that particularly you've been involved in on the compliance side, and
Hmm.
helping to make sure a lot of these met the necessary compliance or were packaged up, ready for a lender.
Yeah. This is just an overview basically of some of the older projects, some more recent projects. Um, in the last year and a half, say that co-living project, we sourced a shortfall amount, second charge loan for that developer. Duke Street in Brighton, we helped the individual there source senior debt refinancing. The other projects are projects we're still involved in the investor management side of it. And there's some new projects there. The Darlington one then is a new mentor client that we've brought on board that they're working through the system with ourselves, finding their funding options and just exploring the mentoring side of it. So it's a whole range of clients, different. And what we find is with different clients is they have all different needs. They have different ambitions. They have different mission statements. And it's amazing to see how so many of them want to make a difference, even socially for tenants, social housing issues, niche markets where the Darlington project is looking to help professional men who probably are a group of people that are marginalized, that, a lot of focus is on single mothers, probably older people, different types of housing need. But for single men to find properties that suit them, there's probably not an awful lot of options for them because on waiting lists and having worked in social housing, they're probably bottom of the list because you have so many other people with so many other needs and genuinely so,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
at the end of the day, they're not seen as high priority. So someone working on projects just for that niche market is quite interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's actually a question that's just come in there, which I suppose is relevant because you're talking about the breadth of different developers we work with. So someone has asked here in the Q&A, are you able to fund BRRR? It's a two-bed flat in London, short lease, and then they've give the figures. So um,
Mhm.
the answer is we can definitely help with the
Yeah.
funding. It's not prop funders funds that we deploy,
Mhm.
but we can, um, depending on the project itself, and obviously passing sort of a sanity check, we can take that to senior debt, second charge lending, mezzanine, equity potentially, so we can definitely help introduce potential funding sources.
Yeah.
But we will be coming on to that in a few moments in terms of our model. So yeah, the different for clients, it's obviously a big thing what we do. And then, of course, Brenda, we've always had this education side to what
Yeah.
we've done, how we help, and we've got a back office with the website, where effectively people can have like a membership. It's free, but they can access what sort of material can they access for the community?
The purpose behind the community is really to literally build a community of property professionals, property people who are interested in finding out more. And the best way sometimes to learn is from each other, to ask questions and to join community groups where people are talking about planning, where people are talking about BRRR, where they're talking about HMOs, where they're talking about just other aspects of development and large scale development, small developments. And it's to give those people the opportunity to share their knowledge within the community. We then will give them first look at, say, the webinars whenever they come, not the webinar, sorry, the podcasts whenever they're launched. They get first look at it before it's launched onto YouTube or Spotify. Um, we also then have areas where you can join groups and you can have smaller groups and you can bring up questions, talk about things. We have forums in there. We'll just add free educational resources in there, videos that we've done, training sessions that we've done. So those will be added in there. So it'll be sort of a one place that you can go and look and search for different information about different issues on property.
Yeah, I think our 6 steps to raising funds legally booklet is
Yeah.
in there as well, which is a good starting point
Hmm.
for developers to understand the whole start to finish process. So, summarizing lots of sort of goodies, free giveaway, educational tips, cheat sheets, as you say, access to the podcasts, recordings of webinars. It's just it's an educational resource for the
Yeah.
prop funders community, which is cool, and we'll obviously be enhancing that
Yeah,
as
we
as
are.
we
We're
go forward.
currently, building it up, and it is free at the minute. So anybody that wants to sign up, it's probably the best time to do it because as we increased educational offerings. We may have free areas and not free areas. So at the minute, anybody who wants to join, it's the best time to join it because at the minute it's free.
Very good. And then just summarize the sort of the main services we provide. And this is something I think very often people have went, well, I know you, David, and crowdfunding, and Brenda, we know what you do. We like your professionalism. We believe you're people of integrity. But what is it exactly that you do? How can you help me if I'm a developer? So, what
Mhm.
are our three main sort of paid for services that prop
Yeah.
funders offer?
Okay. Um, well, this is a part that we have simplified because I think whenever we started out, we weren't just 100% clear on what we were offering people. So we've really simplified this area of the site and said, look, this is what we can do for you. Um, as I said earlier, you obviously have different levels of developers who have different experience levels, who are coming in at different times in their property journey. So these funding packs can meet each individual need at each individual time. The starter funding pack is basically a short overview pack that allows about 7 hours of mentorship. Um, I can't say training because that's not the right word. Um, but it allows basically us to talk to the developer, find out what their needs are, if possibly they maybe have to do a brief overview of their project. We'll look at that. We'll look at the DD elements. We'll look at the presentation of their project. We'll look at the compliance and we'll just see if it's viable. Basically, we'll help them out from that regard. And then we'll also look at how they can go about starting to fund it. The complete funding pack is that plus a whole lot more. We'll really deep dive into the the mechanics of it and how they go about accessing the funding and all of that. Tailored then is a different package in that it has the elements of the other two packs, but you can tailor it to what you specifically need. So if you need to focus on some particular type of funding, if you need your capital stack sorted out, if you need a brochure done for your project complete DD compliance overview, then that's probably the one that you need to look for. So there are different elements in each of the packs, but we believe that that's the best way to structure it. The tailored one obviously can be as much or as little as you need, um, but probably it's a more in-depth pack.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I think the next slide, yeah. So if I sort of summarize that or go into slight more detail on some of it. So the starter funding pack is very much for developers that have a project right now. So your pain point is, I have a project, I want to get it funded, similar to the Q&A that just come in there about a specific property in London. This is very much a done for you option. So it's not always that a developer doesn't have the expertise. Perhaps they know what they would like to do, they just don't have the time.
Mm,
So they can pay us. You can see 997, and as you said, it's about 7 hours of work, and we will literally review all the information, the DD that you mentioned, Brenda, the um, uh, presentation, but also the introduction to potential funding partners, which obviously is a big factor. The complete funding pack is more of an educational mentorship. So as well as working around maybe a specific project, we start off with the 6 steps to raising funds legally. There's six 30-minute modules. So that's like a mini crash course on fundraising for property. And very often people are very familiar with certain aspects, but very rarely, in my opinion, Brenda, do developers take a sort of step back and,
mm.
and seek to learn the whole journey from start to finish.
Yeah, yeah.
Structuring,
Sometimes, yeah,
compliance.
yeah, that can cause issues because you come in at one side of it and you focus on that, and that's brilliant. But then you forget maybe about the compliance or you forget about the brand building, and you don't have this overall view of your project, and you miss out on areas where you could be so much better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the brand building is a big part of that complete funding pack. So where the starter funding pack is done for you, like giving you a fish, the complete funding pack is about teaching the developer to fish so that when you've done this funding pack, then effectively you can get on yourself without any help. because you now understand and know all the key aspects. As you say, then the tailored funding pack is developers who've got maybe specific needs, and you're in that case, we're almost like becoming a member of the team. We're like the funding expert on the developers team. And we've got a number of those clients currently ongoing where we provide a particular service for them or are just there to when problems and challenges arrive.
Yeah.
They know they've got someone that they can give a call to. Now again,
Yeah.
what's sort of
And we
exciting and
have
nice?
had, sorry, we have had just on that, we have had some who have had issues even with the company's registration, company's house, issues with other directors. So even expertise in that side of it. And that's come from maybe issues that we have dealt with in the past ourselves. So we're able to even advise to those issues. And
Mhm.
that's not something that's typically seen whenever you're setting up your company. You don't normally always go, oh, this is going to be an issue. I know how to deal with that. Most people don't. So those are things that we can help with too.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point because sometimes people get together in JVs, they go on a course somewhere, they're told
Hmm.
about the value of JV, they go on JV with a stranger or someone they've just met at a course,
Yeah.
and very often they don't think about the what if this goes wrong, what
Yeah.
if we fall out,
What
you
about
know,
our agreement?
what all the
Yeah.
great,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously we've walked that journey in business before, um, painful, when things go wrong with business partners. So again, that's experience that we can bring
Yeah.
to sometimes developers that are setting up their structures. Now, another sort of exciting announcement today or update today is around the various what we're calling as property funding options or our community for our clients and a number of relationships with different people in the market. Um, of course, funding sources, senior debt, mezzanine, equity, but also right through to marketing services, broker, media services, and these are all companies that we can rely on. So if a developer wants a brochure done, if a developer wants to improve their social media, then we can help them with that. If a developer wants to start their own podcast, we can help them with that. So this is really about a community of companies that are wanting and willing to help developers achieve what they want to achieve. And in some ways, this is the exciting part, Brenda, because we do have incredible knowledge
Mm-hmm.
um, at the end of a phone call, at the end of an email, across a wide range of expertise to help our clients.
Yeah, definitely. There's been good relationships built up over the last, well, it's not even just a year and a half. It's probably gone back maybe 5, 6, 7 years with people, and those relationships are now well established. Their companies have been well established, so we're well placed in the marketplace to be able to access these services for prop funders clients, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just example of a couple of our current clients. So these are clients who are what we call the tailored clients. Um, these three different companies are all, you'd probably say, well, they're all definitely SME developers, but they all
Mhm.
have a fair degree of experience. So the relationship wasn't really about capital stack and
Mhm.
teaching the basics of property development because all of these groups are very successful in their own right. But Rosie Cassidy and her Build Up brand, which has been an incredibly successful launch recently. Um, Again, we've worked with Rosie over a number of years on a number of projects, but as a client who uh, has PropFundrs as one of her team for when she needs input on things like compliance, governance, etc. JAP Property Investment over in Northern Ireland, three property professionals. Porrick runs one of the larger monthly property networking groups, and they have a very specific HMO model. And again, they are paying us for our expertise to help them develop that. And then Pam Lindsay, for those that know Pam, a bit of a celebrity. So it was on Channel 4, 4 in a bed, and well known in the property circles. And again, she has, I suppose, this never-ending problem of a big social media presence. People who want to JV with her, people who want to give her money for property, but she understands compliance and regulation. So she's come to us to say, look, how could you help me structure my investors, what they need to be aware of in terms of FCA regulation? I want to make sure I do it right. And again, there's just three examples of clients who are using prop funders to help them with their journey. Now, another big exciting announcement today is that we have signed an affiliate partnership agreement with Empowered Group. So, for those of you that might know Lars Singleton, he actually sits on our advisory board at PropFundrs. But Lars is one of definitely the foremost SaaS experts in the UK. He has a group of companies, and within that group of companies are a number of companies that have benefit to PropFundrs clients, and benefit that we can offer some of his companies. So he has his pension company there in blue, Grow Empowered, and you can see Gareth Alexander there in the red, or sorry, the green. Getting colorblind there, in the green, and that's the education arm. So PropFundrs is an affiliate of Grow, where we go on and we do webinars and provide expertise around due diligence on property and on compliance. So there's an obvious synergy there at helping Grow Empowered clients. They then have a wealth platform. One of the products on that is Evolve. Theo Kemp, brilliant guy, very much involved in first charge lending to property developers. So this is where SaaS clients have pulled their SaaS into a lending company, a lending group, and a developer then can come and seek to source funding from Evolve Lending. So again, a very exciting development to be able to have another funding source that's quite unique because it's from originating SaaS funds. Which I think is really good. So a lot of synergy from this, Brenda. We're obviously tapping into a very well established, and the whole SaaS funds side of things is an exciting funding source for developers, I think.
Definitely. And again, this is a relationship that's been built up over the last number of years. But it's very exciting for our property developers. It's another source of funding. So, and that's what we're all about. We're trying to establish these links to benefit our property development community.
Absolutely. Um, of course, we continue to have our podcast, which has been really cool. Really enjoy meeting different people from all walks of life, all different backgrounds. The common thread is that they're all in property, and we've had some phenomenal podcasts. Brenda, you've been in the
Mhm.
room in Belfast when we did some recordings,
Yeah.
and it's just
And had
I
to
just love it.
remember not to speak whenever they said something really interesting, and I was sort of, oh,
Want to
okay,
get
sure.
involved? Well, you can solve
Yeah.
that by you can host some of them in my
No,
absence.
it's
That'd be even
fine.
better.
Fine.
But again, an amazing wealth of knowledge. I mean, if you're hitting the gym, taking the dog for a walk, sitting on public transport, you can select the one that you think maybe most mirrors your situation. But we have like people who have lost millions in
Mm.
property, with people who starting out in their properties in their early 20s, brokers, just a
Yeah.
whole range of people.
It's
And
the
it's excellent.
I know this answers it's the honesty from people of how willing they are to share their stories about their journeys, their life, and for some of them it is phenomenal to imagine that they didn't start off thinking they were going to be property professionals or in property development. Some did, some had watched other people. Um, is it Phoebe? Yes, Phoebe had said she watched her aunt and her uncle and saw how they were involved in property and was so motivated by that and wanted to be like them. But for other people like Lorraine Thomas, where she had started out, was she working in banking in
Yeah, she's
London?
in the city.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
the city she worked in the city and no thought of property at all. And then family circumstances changed her whole
yeah.
trajectory and she decided then to move into property, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our property funding podcast. The more subscribers you get, obviously, then you get more sort of features and benefits of YouTube and Spotify. But yeah, stay tuned for some further. I know Angus Griffin is the next one that's coming out. We've already
So
recorded.
we've got a nice FCA compliance regulation sort of
Yes, so Angus was an
hinge to that one.
ex-FCA enforcement
Mhm.
officer. So it's a brilliant podcast with him about the whole compliance regulation space. So, okay, let's moving towards a wrap up here and a summary, but I think this is really important in terms of property funding options. And again, it's just reminding developers, there are a lot of different sources of funding. If you take the time to plan your capital stack and work out what's best for you. So, of course, there's senior debt finance, first charge lending. Most developers are pretty clear with that. There's maybe more specialist development finance when a property is already built. There is, of course, peer-to-peer and crowdfunding, which obviously is close to my heart given the journey I've been on. There are a number of companies that do debt and equity where you can access then retail investors. Have your raise signed off as a financial promotion. That's a really interesting angle for those that perhaps want to build a brand. There are, in some cases, government local authority grants, which should be looked at for certain types of projects, short-term
No,
bridging
probably
loans.
not. Probably not if you're Northern Ireland. We don't seem to get any grants for anything, so that's
That's
a bit of a
that.
bugbear.
That's pretty fair. The Northern Ireland market's quite unique in that.
Mm-hmm.
So bridging loans short term, mezzanine finance sort of for second charge, and then there is the whole what you might call joint venture funding, which is where passive investors are maybe
Yeah.
going to come into your project, or indeed active investors if they want to have a part in the business. But certainly that whole area
Yeah.
of passive investors. But obviously you've got to be aware of regulation around compliance
Yes.
and the pooling of funds.
Mm-hmm.
But right through to uh, family offices, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
can all play a part in that. So that's just the whole gambit. So we get
Yeah.
help with all of this, and we've got
Yeah. And we've
contacts
done
in
we've
all
done a
of these.
blog around our funding options. This week's or this month's blog is around funding options, so
Brilliant.
you can go read a wee bit more about it on the website.
Fantastic. Okay, just three quick examples of prop funder clients that we have helped in recent months. So we helped a client achieve a bridging loan with Glenhawk, £760,500. This was a mixed-use property in Brighton, commercial downstairs, 7 apartments across 3 floors with a basement. And I say we successfully helped the client access funding for this. We then helped another client by taking them to a crowdfunding platform that we partnered with, and they did a raise for 5 bungalows. Like this project must almost be finished now.
I think it
Um,
probably is, yeah.
yeah, but it was a really experienced developer, and they raised £340,000 via a crowdfunding platform. So they brought some of their own investors to the table. I think 2 of them were SaaS clients. The platform actually had some of their own investors like this project and invested in it as well. So that proved a very successful raise. And an example of a slightly more bespoke one, developer contacted me. The senior debt provider had dropped the LTV at the very last minute, and they were about to go on site in Guildford, right in the centre of Guildford. You can see there Norwich House, fabulous location, really experienced builder, developer, and all of a sudden there's a 75K shortfall. So we put it out to some of our high net worth individuals. Obviously, from a compliance point of view, we could only talk to high net worth individuals. And one of them were like, yeah, we'll do that. And I think within a week of the phone call coming to me with the paperwork done and the funds transferred to the developer. So that's an example of a really successful outcome that the investors were happy because they've got on board this project, and the developer was certainly happy that we had helped him solve a major problem that he had. So that's just 3 examples. One of our clients that Brenda mentioned that we're working with is Paul here from Decent Abodes Limited, and he provides this high quality accommodation solutions for professional men. As you said, Brenda, quite a unique
Mm.
our niche market. Wouldn't say
Yeah.
unique, but a niche market. And what have you been doing to help Paul?
Well, basically, we've been doing a little bit of mentoring for him, taking him through a little bit of brand building and also then completing an offer document for him, plus a project overview, a 2-page flyer that he can give to individuals to show them, basically showcase what he's doing.
Yep. So just in the sort of just really helping him be that second voice in the room to
Yeah.
really help him focus in on what he needs to do.
Mhm.
So as a project ongoing for him, but it gives an example of people that we're helping, and it is great when you see that people get projects done over the line and moving forward. So suppose the call to action, Brenda, is what?
Visit the website. We've got our brand new website up and running. We'd like you to go in and have a look at it. Anybody that has any feedback, anything that they think could work better, let us know. We're always open to suggestions. And if you're interested in anything on the site, first step is probably to book a free call, and it is a free 30-minute call, which is full of information. You'll speak to one in the team, and we will talk about your project and find out where you are in your journey and see if we can help you take it forward. And this is free. It's only thing you're losing is a bit of time. So that can't be bad. And you'll learn something. We guarantee that.
Time
Yeah.
well spent with a member of the team, for
Whether it's
sure.
just about the weather in Northern Ireland, you'll still learn something. Yeah.
Very good, very good. So yes, that is the effectively the call to action. Give us a call, see if we can help. If we feel we can't help, then we'll absolutely say that. Our services and what we do does not suit every single developer, but we've got loads of testimonials from developers that have worked with sort of the team at PropFundrs actually for many years, and that part's actually quite humbling, Brenda, as you say. Some of the
Mhm.
clients we talked about today, we literally have been working with them for 5 or 6 years. We've been through some painful journeys of projects overrunning, projects not delivering on time, but we've been there. I think that's why we do have so much credibility in the market. People keep saying that to me when I'm traveling around England, is that look, very often people disappear when problems happen. We have
Mhm.
had certainly projects post COVID that ran into challenges, but like we have never ducked that. We've always been here for investors that we have, showed these projects to, and working with developers to try and make sure that we get the best resolution for all sides. And I think it's fair to
Yeah.
say it hasn't been easy at times, but
Nope.
it was the right thing to do as a business.
Definitely. Sometimes because you're caught in the middle between the funder and the developer, and sometimes people see you as the problem, but at the end of the day, it's either the developer or the funder that's usually the problem. But because you're in the middle, sometimes you get the flack. But at the same time, I would rather there was someone there for somebody to talk to than for nobody to be talking to them. At least then you could try and do something for people. So
Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely
yeah.
a good place to end. So that is us. Thank you for today. We thought rather than bring a guest on, we would actually take a bit of time and remind people about what PropFunders does. So when I say a guest, I mean an external
Thank
guest,
you.
because I'm
Yeah.
still absolutely delighted that managed to get Brenda to come on screen today. So this
Mm.
has to be the first of many, and I think we'll have to make it
Penny.
a regular occurrence to get Brenda on, talk about the service. But I think it is important though, Brenda, because people tend to see me obviously at events
Yeah,
or
I
on the
think
podcast.
people thought you made me up, but I didn't really exist. It was
Didn't
just
really
a
exist.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you are. We've dispelled that myth today.
Mhm.
Brenda does exist, and you're obviously such a vital part to what PropFunders does and the delivering of the service. I bring the clients in very often at the front end, but you're the one that's left to maybe help them through the journey, etc. So, look, that's how you can reach out to us. So the email is there, as Brenda says. Go to our website, simply propfunders.com, have a look at it, get some feedback, and always happy to hear feedback on that. I don't know if anybody has been on the website while this has been on and wants to leave a comment in the Q&A before we finish. I'll give it sort of 30 seconds in case anyone has a question. And as usual, then the recording will be up on YouTube. But if anyone's been on the site and wants to make a comment in the Q&A, we always welcome that sort of initial feedback. So feel free to do that. Anything, Brenda, you want to say to finish off before we close?
No, we have a chat function on the website. There are plenty of ways to get in contact with us. So anybody has any issues, just let us know.
Brilliant. Okay. I see some of the comments coming in there. Fantastic. No, appreciate that. Appreciate the feedback. So look, let's end it there. Thanks very much, everybody. And we will uh, see you all as normal next next month. Can't remember the date actually for next month. Brandon, just finished with that maybe.
Probably similar to, just check that for you. 16th. Yeah.
16th. Okay. Fantastic. See you everyone. All the best.
All
Bye bye
righty.
now. Bye bye. Bye
Bye.
bye.